city's waking up, and so are the charts. Every move on this screen has a story. Sometimes it's hype, sometimes it's fear, sometimes it's nothing at all. But if you look close enough, you'll see the rhythm behind it. No drama, no magic, just patterns, pressure, and people trying to make sense of it all. So let's take a look at where we're at and where this thing might go.
What's up, T Sigma and MK? How are you guys doing? Just in time for some dinner? Steak teriyaki? Nice. Sounds good. I need to eat something. I'm waiting. So, actually, first, before we look at the charts, I'm gonna have Aztec on here on Thursday, and then the Lit VM people, I think it's Yago, Eden Yago. I don't know exactly who's coming on. Maybe it's multiple. What's his name? Yeah, Eden Yago. I think it's him. He'll be on. Someone from LitVM will be on here on the 7th. I believe that's the following Tuesday or Monday. Okay, it's Tuesday. So we got Aztec Thursday, and then the following Tuesday, I think it's Eden, maybe someone else as well. So that'll be pretty good timing for us. Yo, what up, Nick? You want to come on here since you're back home? You're better at reading the short-term time frames. Yeah, Thursday should be cool. Litecoin ETF, the first one should be approved, but it's super small. We'll see how that does opening day, if that day is Friday. And then see all these others approved, and then maybe get BlackRock and Fidelity ETFs. What's up, Dewey? You're going goose hunting? Is that what you mean? This is grouse hunting. What's up, UV Star? Yeah, it'll be cool. It'll get more exciting. I want to have more people on here once price is more interesting. Then I'll have a bigger audience. And then I'll restart the 24/7 streams once we get a higher time for breakout. If this is about to happen, then I'll just start it right away. Then I think we can keep a constant conversation here so it doesn't die off too hard. Then I'll be live like all day. We do have a gap here though. It started rallying just before futures market open. It's tiny, but it is there. But it can leave those behind. Like it did back here and then come back months later, tag it. Alright, yeah, whenever if you're available now, that's cool. If you gotta do some stuff first, that's cool too. I'll be here probably like an hour and a half. Or 2 hours. But this looks pretty pretty promising. I saw you point out the inverse head and shoulders. I was thinking about this. I don't know if it's technically valid, but Nick posted this idea. I don't know where you took it from. Maybe this is the head, this is shoulder. Probably easier to see on a higher time frame. Yeah, potentially shoulder, head, shoulder. If Litecoin can reclaim this area where it broke down, it'd just be like a slight deviation and then vertical impulse. Yeah, I don't know if they matter. I don't know. All I see is a shift in trend. All I really care about is high time frame accumulation. And then kind of a change in trend since the lows in July of 24. Actually, I was looking. It's kind of interesting. In all of Litecoin's price history, this Q3 was actually one of the most bullish Q3s we've ever had. So the previous Q3 was here when price wicked from 74 down to 50. And then this was Q3 2023 from 105 down to 60. It was like another 50% drop. Q3 did nothing in 2021. Basically nothing in 2020. It was the weakest performing quarter in 2017. It was negative in 2016. And even in 2013, it was negative. Even though this was Litecoin's highest percentage, quickest rally. Q3 sucks. So out of all the Q3s, this is like on par with the biggest Q3 candle Litecoin's ever had, which is interesting. Because this literally is the largest in percentage terms here in 2017. And it was like 38%. It's about the same. Slightly lower. Alright, I'll send you a link in a few minutes. Yeah, if it's close, it's close. True. I think the overall high time frame structure matters the most. I don't even care a ton about technical analysis. I think it's kind of represents positioning, and with a more like, I guess you can see patterns that you know play out a decent percentage of the time, and you can see like points of potential breakout, breakdown, like liquidity pockets, places to bid or sell. But if nobody in the world really understands Litecoin being the second Bitcoin chain, I don't know how the aggregate market would ever like basically the hive mind would be pricing in the reality that I see. So I don't know. Technical analysis to me is like after the macro and fundamental situation. Eric, what's up? Sneaking in from work. Hope you're doing alright. We just need to see how, if we're gonna get this breakout here, how strong it really is. Lower time frame stuff is like noise. But if this really is correct, which I think it is, it's like what I was talking about before back here when price failed to break. We just had more consolidation. I really want to see if Litecoin can, and I think it will, finally have some higher time frame impulsive price action. How strong that is. The targets they give you here are just the 1618 extension, but most oftentimes in crypto, when you have this long consolidation, even without any fundamental strength, it tends to rally way beyond this 1618. Ew. Ew, what? See if Litecoin can get its first real impulsive move in 8 years. I noticed that funding rates were still coming down. As well as open interest. So that's pretty good to see. You don't talk about TA like that. I just think traders, a lot of traders are, I don't know, like I never got that interested in technical analysis, because from my view, even back in college, I looked at who the richest people in the world were in the hedge fund world, and yeah, some of them were traders, but the vast majority were able to just see things that the rest of the market didn't, whether it was like the '08 housing crisis, or just spot opportunities based on a combination of macro and fundamental analysis. Saw way more than any technical analyst out there. I think it's more important. I just think it dominates crypto because there's a lack of real demand. But there's millions of charts out there. Everyone's posting charts, thinking like, oh yeah, this is my price target, whatever. But like, even the best traders with the highest followings, most consistent, have underperformed just holding Bitcoin. Like 3AC, these guys are supposed to be the smartest people ever. SBF, they have access to more information and are competent technical analysts. But I remember like Kyle Robeson, like somehow that they didn't make money in bull markets in crypto. Send you the link. Oh, okay, my bad. So I just talk about it because it's always, you know, it's always there's always something new to discuss. It's like the only thing, the fundamental case doesn't change. And I can't repeat myself forever. Alright. I created the room. Here's the link. Should work. The Asian guy from 3AC quote tweeted your horrible chart. Dang. I don't know. I remember in 2021, everyone was max bullish. All the traders, even for Litecoin, like think this is gonna enter price discovery. And I saw the on-chain stuff that was scary. Massive whales sending coins to exchanges. I think sentiment and on-chain stuff, data, can be more helpful a lot of times than charts. Charts can look the most bullish at the top and the most bearish at the bottom. But for me, again, it's just like this chart or fractal or pattern of compression has repeated itself in some variety for every altcoin that's had a 100x plus move. And it was always hard to see because the chart alone, I didn't see the Dogecoin doing this or XRP. But I can see how Litecoin gets there. I can see the narrative that will exist even though it doesn't exist right now. And I think it's so hard for people to see because money has never worked like this in the past. It's never scaled horizontally, it's always scaled vertically. But that's the opportunity. It's like, in order to actually figure that out, you have to think differently than any historical reference, which is why I think Bitcoin is throwing everyone off. And the narrative is so believable because they assume it will work like gold or silver or dollars, and it doesn't. So the only one assumption you have to make right now, given Litecoin's network effect lead, is that demand for permissionless money via the Bitcoin architecture will increase. That's it. If that happens, yeah, this is going to get repriced. Alright, let me see if Nick... Oh, Nick is in here. Okay. I think my mic's muted. Let me add you. And now let me... Can you hear me? I don't know why sometimes this mic doesn't work. I can see your screen. Let me make sure my mic settings are correct. Test. Hello. Oh, one sec. Why is this not showing me? What did we do last time? It says you're unmuted. UK just went full digital ID. Yeah, I was seeing people talk about that. It's gonna be hard to hide. What the heck? Turning up your volume? I'm gonna add your screen here. Yeah, last time it let me access your microphone. It says iMac microphone or AirPods. Does it say? Okay, it should work now. I hear something. Yeah, I hear you now. Sweet. What's up? How you? I'm doing fine. How are you?
I'm pretty good. I'm a little beat from the drive yesterday, but other than that,
Oh yeah.
I was able to get some rest.
15 hours.
Yeah, I think it turned out to be almost 15, 14 something.
Dang.
Yeah, but I switched with my wife. Like I drove the first couple hours, got too tired, and we switched for a few hours, and then I drove however many, and then we switched a few times. So it's not so bad.
Yeah, how does your daughter do in that?
She does good. She gets a little. She's 6, so she does the "Are we there yet?" thing constantly.
Oh yeah.
And it's like I'm sitting there and I'm trying to nip it at the bud and then tell her like it's not dark. We're not almost, we're not there yet. We're not close, but still, probably like once every hour or two. But other than that, she does really good.
Oh nice. Yeah.
Complaints.
When I was a kid, I just play like video games
Game
in the
Boy.
back. We had like this little. Traveled all the time for hockey tournaments, so I would just plug in my Xbox. We had like a literal TV that I just put in my car and plug
Nice.
in, random stuff, even like Super Nintendo. But
I'm old enough that I used to ride the bus with my CD player. You had a bump and it would skip.
oh yeah, I remember that, the Walkman stuff. They said they can barely hear you, but it's loud in my thing. Oh, let me turn it up. Now they should be able to hear you louder.
You had it down?
I had like screen capture as half volume, and it's coming through that audio source.
Normally I'm too loud, and then you're not loud enough.
Yeah, I think it's better now. So your chart's kind of playing out, the short-term time frame chart that you drew the other day.
Yeah, I deleted my squiggly, so I tried to redraw it. Something like that, I think. But yeah, it's pretty much on short term. Whether this is like going to be bearish continuation or like a true reversal, it should, that's what I was saying, it should probably play out to where it at least goes to this trend line at basically 110 area, depending on where it hits it, 109, 110. That should be the first thing that, if you're bearish, you're looking to short. If you bought these lows, you're looking to take profit. That should be the first level. And then from there, it's, more importantly, if we show a decent amount of strength, it's what, at 114, 115 will be the key level. It's basically that descending trend line we've been looking at that we haven't been able to break.
Yeah, 115, like 113 to 115 area has been where prices hung around for quite some time.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure let's see this.
It's like the mid-range for that.
The quarter, there we go. Yeah. See this channel. It's about a quarter of the channel.
I see.
Yeah, so it's big. That's why it's like, it still would be a nice bear trap. Like this is still a great bear trap. But like, it looks really good down here. It depends when we hit, but roughly 89, 90 bucks. Still looks so good to me. Like, I think the chart would look incredibly bullish. I think it's a good time to buy down there. If you're not in long, that's the thing. I feel like a lot of people may have capitulated on this one, and then not many people are actually buying this sweep. They probably sold even more on the sweep. So hopefully it's a bear trap. And if not, though, I'm probably gonna. I was thinking about opening an account. I get a bunch of these stupid. I don't know if you get them too. They're like people on Twitter that basically like, I don't know. I'm pretty sure anyone can do it. You just ask an exchange to be like some type of representative, and they try to get you on their exchanges.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of those.
Yeah, so I'm thinking about, I think, was it Blowfin or Biofin? I think it's Blowfin is a decent one that hit me up. And I was thinking about just opening up an account with them so I can, because they're non KYC or whatever. So I was thinking about doing that. And then if it does, I'm going to put a leverage trade on down here. Because I'm only on Coinbase and they offer perps, but only for a few, and it's not high leverage. So I was thinking about putting maybe a couple thousand or something on it, and then putting on a decent sized trade on high leverage, enough to where I can try to catch the bottom multiple times if I miss it. But could be a good one.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I don't know about those exchanges. I've always ignored the messages, but maybe I'm always worried about some scam thing and then promoting it.
I know it's not worth it. It's not, to me. It's not worth. I saw a guy. I don't remember who it was, but he's a big trader on CT, and I asked him, or he showed his like how much he actually got, and it was over the course of a month. He got like $30 or $40, and I was just like, what's the risk versus reward's not there to me to like promote it to people, and you don't know if it's going to be a scam or not, and then you're only making you're making nothing essentially. Like I don't see why you would do it.
Yeah, I would only promote things I've used for a long time.
The only one I ever got that I considered taking was it was one of the big exchanges. It's the one that everyone usually posts their leverage trades on. Close my window, dude. It's getting hot already. Anyways, they offered me a fully funded account, and then they'd pay for an ID for me, like a Palau ID, and I didn't want to. It just seems sketchy. I don't want to do any of that.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, even all the people that were promoting what seemed legitimate, like FTX last cycle, there were a lot of traders and people getting paid a shit ton of money to promote that.
Yeah, the FTX thing, I remember that night watching the price. I don't know if you were staring at the charts then, but that was a rough night for me.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm staying on windows in my house.
What's that? For some reason, it's like attached to your, I think it's your computer microphone. So I can't hear you.
Sorry, I'm shutting windows.
Oh, you're good.
My wife and daughter just took off to get a hold of me before. You hear me better now?
Yeah, I can hear you now. You got a lot of windows.
I got new ones a couple of years ago. There's like 18 of them.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, it's not even a big house. But I was saying my wife and daughter took off to get Halloween decor because our street is like one of those streets that people drive all over town to go to, or at least my neighborhood. So we have to step it up this year.
Yeah, I remember those. There are a few streets, I think, in every town. People go drive by just to see the lights and decorations at Halloween or Christmas.
Yeah, there's a couple, like the corner house. They always make a DJ booth, and they got the fog machines, and they have a DJ, and then like a scare maze or whatever you call it.
Sweet. Well,
Yeah.
what do you think happens if we do break 115? Will you align with the high time frame impulse type structure playing out?
Yeah, if we do break it, then we have immediate resistance again. Like we would need to make it turn into support first, and considering how Litecoin moves, everyone wants a breakout, but it seems to
Yeah.
test and retest and do all sorts of stuff like that. So I would assume if we break out of this, best case scenarios, we'd run right back into about 125, 127, whatever that range, that resistance, and then probably do a retest of this breakout level 115, and then from there on, then it's that whole, what is it? It's the top of this channel, which is basically at the previous high, about 145, and then it's instantly to 200, 210 or whatever, which is basically like, let me pull up the other chart. Pull up the head. I don't remember what chart I did the head and shoulders on. Binance.
Do you put any weight into the idea that the more an asset has these like 786 deep retracements, that eventually when you get a high time frame breakout, it just leaves prior levels behind? Or
I think they can, especially like a multi-year formation like this. But I don't know. It's one of those things where you can expect it over and over and over again, but it doesn't mean it's gonna, actually happen. So I think we've talked about it before, but I think it's the wrong idea to constantly expect Litecoin just to break structure and just rally up like XRP or just rally like it did in 2017. I'd say even Bitcoin, when it broke highs, it didn't do that. But I don't know. It's one of those things where also it's like, are we holding one of the assets that rallies in the very end of the market, that it has its most explosive gains at the very end of the market? So it's like we got to hold through watching everyone else, not everybody, but anyone holding any type of coin with value make a ton of money before all of a sudden Litecoin goes, and then that's the end of the market or whatever.
Yeah.
So.
It's tough. It's like I for a long time thought eventually when it was time it would run like that, but yeah, there's no guarantee. It's just weird. Yeah, a lot of the other assets that broke all-time highs didn't really enter the typical price discovery type rally. This was Bitcoin's weakest breakout above prior all-time highs. Even XRP, it wasn't really able to enter price discovery. It like retested the highs.
I think you were asking about XRP yesterday, and I would still say it's the same. It's probably one of the most bullish coins.
I think this short-term time frame doesn't look like a descending triangle that might break down here.
It could. I'd rather it break down and people funnel their money elsewhere. Let's see.
Yeah. I just don't know how you build a. You have to have stronger sentiment, to me, than post-election rally. And it was crazy. I've never seen. I thought XRP euphoria was insane in 2017, but then when I saw all the reels, TikTok posts, social media interest in XRP, it like blew my mind. How many people, like it was thousands of videos.
I used to work in a warehouse, and that was the one people would talk about.
Yeah, that's what all my IRL friends were talking about.
Yeah. I don't know why. I have no idea how.
And it's like everyone holds
YouTube?
it. I think so. But if they all hold it, to me that's not bullish generally.
My My wife's stepdad's brother made like 50 grand recently on XRP on that big move.
Oh, nice. Yeah,
And he's just
did he sell it? Or no?
probably not, no. But I mean, of all the moves, it's held the best. It's been nice. Like it still looks good to me. I wouldn't think it's about to break down. It was actually, and I've called XRP pretty well. I've called some of these coins that I hardly touch better. But yeah, I don't know. I think down to, what is it, 256, to not much lower, and it looks nice to me.
Yeah, I just don't understand it. That's why it's like the traders have kind of dominated talking about XRP, and they were correct. But I've never heard a convincing argument.
The only thing I've heard, so I could probably tell you what most of them believe, and they think that it's basically going to be something to do with CBDCs, right?
That and like replace Swift, but those markets are like, assume both of those come true. It doesn't, to me, that doesn't do anything for the demand for the XRP token. It's like Tron has a shit ton of stable coins issued on it. It's a decent sized asset. It was way lower than XRP. And then if it replaces Swift, I don't think, one, you need a lot of political influence. Those are like, Swift and Fedwire are like government run credit settlement systems.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't know why they would ever switch to some other network if what they're using is fine, unless it saved them a ton of money. And if it did, the revenue for XRP, even if it was like their profits were recycled back into the token, wouldn't do that much. I think Visa and MasterCard would are worth far more than what Fedwire or Swift would be valued at. And those companies are like $300-400 billion in market cap. It's tiny compared to the expectation of the price of this token that I don't even know how either of those like models result in a ton of demand for it. So that's what's confusing, is like there's a lot of retail hype, and the narrative was the same for 8 years ago when it pumped massively that it is today, but there's been no evidence of any of that stuff actually being adopted by banks or by governments. So yeah, it's super confusing why everyone's super like interested in it. The only thing I can think of retail interest is unit bias. It seems cheap, and that it's being marketed towards all of them. And you have like Brad Garlinghouse and this XRP company thing that has a lot of money to work with market makers, pump their token, work with influencers to market it. They can just keep recycling funds they printed out of thin air towards pumping it, basically. That's the only like thesis that would make sense to me, is betting on them working to pump their token because they have this huge incentive, because those unlocks don't get distributed over the short term. It's a long-term thing.
Yeah, I have no idea about any of the fundamentals, but I just look at like technicals and then price, what it's doing, and then narrative, pretty much. So for me, it absolutely, when it went from 60, what percentage is that? 4, 5, almost a 5x, over a 5x.
Yeah.
And then it's been holding really well. Technically, it looks similar to Litecoin. So I feel like a lot of these Dino coins that look similar, I'm just bullish all of them, pretty much.
Yeah, it makes sense. I'm surprised though that given the like 900x rally in 2017 that so many traders are interested in it. Don't in a lot of
What didn't Litecoin? What did Litecoin do during that same?
well, it
2017?
rallied from like $4 to 400. I mean, it
Okay.
wicked down
100.
to like a few bucks or maybe under $2 for a short amount of time. Like post halving in July of 2015, I think. But it basically hovered around $3-4 for multiple years before it rallied to 30, 40, and then 400. But I think the potential market cap size is, if fundamentals eventually matter, which they will if this succeeds, is the same as Bitcoin's total addressable market. So it's like, I look at it, XRP is competing against credit layer networks that, you know, the total addressable market's like $5 trillion and it's priced at 200 billion with, you know, nothing that really makes long-term sense to me with zero market penetration. And just the same hype versus a coin that's been growing, that's priced at $8 billion with a total addressable market of, I don't know, 15-20 trillion, this permissionless money, black market money market. Maybe I think Bitcoin's monetization limit would force it to long term be not much more than like 5 trillion. I know people have $1 million price targets, but if it actually becomes a money, I think it will be, you know, long term worth a lot less than people expect. But I think a second Bitcoin chain would get to the same or very similar market cap. So it's like backwards to me, and like much larger total addressable market for Bitcoin chains than credit layer networks, but the prices are like, XRP is what, 200 billion, Litecoin's 8, so it's like a 25x difference. When I think eventually Litecoin will be worth a lot more than XRP, or at least has potential to. So yeah, that, like, if I was just an investor, which I basically am, or a long-term speculator, buying a credit layer network at $200 billion seems like terrible risk reward, even if the chart looks bullish. But I've seen a lot of traders fail, and
That.
yeah.
I think realistically it could go to $8 and something change, but to me, more than likely, I think it could go all the way to $28, around that 26, $28, which I don't know what to put the market cap on, but I don't see it going higher than that. And I think
it's like Cred's target, right? Like 30, 25, $30. Incredible.
I don't know.
Yeah, if they're in a true mania, I'm sure like people just buy things indiscriminately, and if it's not really that liquid, 50% is locked up. I don't know. Anything.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect it to actually be valued at whatever it hits. Like the goal, I guess our hope is that everything goes wild and we get dumb values, so we're able to take profits, you know?
Yeah.
But who knows? Maybe we get a long drawn out market and we get this next run up to whatever this is, whether XRP it's $8, Litecoin it's previous all-time highs or somewhere in that range, or say it's $800, and then we get a correction, and you know, and then we get a more drawn out market. That's always possible, you know. I think expecting something like that wouldn't be that wild.
Yeah.
But let's see. I just did a little charting last night. Pull up. Yeah, this head and shoulders, I don't put a ton of weight into these things. It's just kind of like added confluence or something like that. But trading the exact patterns are kind of, sometimes you're able to get good entries and exits, or you know, good risk versus reward. but I don't like, for example, this formation or whatever. Technically, you'd say we didn't hit the top if we drew the say the box all the way to the all the way to the top here. So, but then I guess technically it'd have to be where the shoulder is, which is here, the left shoulder, which we still didn't get. So I'm more so just looking at like it's pretty much doing that type of pattern. We could hold exactly here where I drew the chart out last night, and rip up, and then you can look back at it and say, yeah, look like a head and shoulder. You know, we're inverse head and shoulders. But to me, honestly, like I'm already in. I didn't sell my Litecoin. I'm still holding. Like I said, I'm more interested in taking a new trade if available, which would basically break this smaller term pitchfork. So, and it would basically go down to what I was looking, somewhere in this range. Hold a higher low. Let's see. Just kind of stair step up this longer term pitchfork. But like, say it is a inverse head and shoulders. Let's draw it how I kind of had it set up. Something like that. It would still wouldn't have gone as high as the left shoulder or say the neckline, but then what I'm looking is actually for it to go pretty much just as low, maybe not as low, but just as low, basically to 90, and then it would look really good, and then I would possibly take a leverage trade there, see if I could like nab a godly leverage trade and hang on to it. Which I don't know. I haven't done that. Are premiums? How are I heard you have to pay to hold the trade, right?
What's that? What'd you ask? I didn't hear your question.
You've taken leverage positions, right? Like perpetual.
I didn't trade futures, but I did have leveraged positions.
Okay. Don't you have to pay like a premium on that to hold the position?
We have to pay interest depending on the funding rate, and it changes like hourly. But the funding rates right now are pretty low. So I think it's gonna be hard to get like a real solid entry. There's not much to liquidate out unless spot holders just panic dump. But usually you get the best entries after some type of forced selling. And there's really not a ton. Open interest is at baseline levels now, and funding rates are below baseline. Usually they're double what they are right now, like if there were equal longs and shorts. So it seems like, based on this data, like up to date, there's more people short than long on leverage for Litecoin at least.
Okay.
So I don't know, it's possible you still see it. There's been times where open interest wasn't that high, but like Bitcoin just tanked and people sold off Litecoin harder. But yeah, I held a leveraged position. Like I thought Litecoin was gonna break out on the high time frame, so like held it from like 70-80 bucks for like 7 months, and then exited at like 100, and basically broke even because of the funding I was paying.
Oh jeez, okay. That's what I'm worried about.
But I held it for so long. Like I literally entered after the first 30% correction that I thought was coming back in like April 24, and then held all the way through down to $50 to 150, and then I exited just before it broke down from 100 back to like $64. I'm glad I exited it, but
yeah, that's a big correction there.
I thought we were gonna get the like XRP style breakout. I thought we were gonna get a high time frame breakout a long time ago, and then I would have made a lot of money. But it's so hard. Like, I would never do it. I would never play with leverage again.
Yeah, I know. I've gotten wiped out. I wiped out so many equity options accounts. I've like grown them really well for a while and then wiped them almost every time.
Yeah, I've only done it in
It's hard to do.
a few times. Yeah, I had call options before because I didn't want to have like have the risk of being liquidated, and I did that in the 2020, like 2019, 2020 bear market, and I was off by a couple months, and I lost 5 Bitcoin instead of making like 50 if I would have had my expiration a few months later. So it sucks. You can be super close and then just like you have the right idea, but you get liquidated right before the move, or your options contract expires like a month before it would have paid you.
I had enough master or MicroStrategy. What was it? I was just too early.
Yeah.
It expired on me, but you know, it was way too early. But if it was if I had done it, timed it correctly, you know, oh god, I think I was calculating and stuff, it would have been 10+ million.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can make stupid money doing it, but you got to be perfect.
Yeah.
And then you have to execute perfectly on the sell. So but Litecoin here looks decent. Like you can see, this is kind of the weekly battle here to reclaim this breakdown here on this trend line.
Yep.
That's kind of what what I was saying I was expecting, and I'd expect us to go up to it still and run into it, and you know, there's gonna be some profit taking, there's gonna be some people shorting, there's maybe gonna be people hedging their longs here. But the real battle's up here, so it depends what kind of strength. I don't know if we kind of bounce up against it and then hopefully get a weekly close on it, and then we can start the next week candle going after that next resistance level. But short term, that's what I'm seeing. It's either that or it's like bearish continuation. We reject, and then we head down towards. Oh, fudge! I did that again. I zoom in with my mouse or something.
Oh.
Now I can't even access my drawings.
Oh dang.
Dang it. All right, let me restart real quick.
Okay. I'll pull up my.
You need to send me a new link.
No, you should be able to join again, and I'll just add your new screen, or I can create a new room.
I'll just try the same link, see how it works.
Okay, yeah. I'll see you in a sec. Let's see. Okay. It should work. Let me just request your audio. Yeah, should work now.
Okay, sweet.
Let me add this. I have to add your new link. Okay, yeah, we can see it. That's weird. It like, oh, what the heck?
That was me. Hang on. How do I request again?
Let me see. It says hide video now. It should be. Should be on now. Is it? No. Let me remove it and add it again.
I think I need to request a screen share. I don't know how to do that. Because I just closed the screen I was sharing because I forgot to do it.
Oh.
I forgot to reset that screen.
It says video on in that.
Here, let me try it again. One more time.
Okay.
You hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I just have
Okay.
to, it gives me a new link for your screen every time, so I just have to add that. Okay, now it's back up.
All right. I don't know where I was at, but yeah, ultimately short term retest. Basically, what is this, like 109? See how we react. Hopefully, we get a weekly close above, and we can bounce around, and then really rip up. Possibility maybe with the ETF stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, I think
but
there's
let's
almost
go.
no hype around these altcoin ETFs. Like, I don't see any
No.
real interest in crypto even. So I lean towards the idea that they'll outperform. It's hard to know like what marketing these smaller ETF issuers will even have because they're like brand new funds. Like Canary is some new thing that nobody's heard of.
Yeah, you don't know what kind of flows or inflows we'll actually have from them.
Yeah, I'm sure people can get access to them through like any brokerage, but usually when like BlackRock or a bigger institution like Vanguard offers an ETF, there's a ton of marketing to their clients of this new product. But for some brand new issuer or like crypto specific companies like CoinShares, I don't know how much new money they're gonna attract. It could just be, I don't know, people could front run or pump some of these altcoins to get attention, and then I think you'd see inflows. But in a dull market, I think without marketing, I'm unsure how they'll do.
Yeah. Yeah, so either we reject resistance or it was a bear trap. But if we do, then it's most likely low 90s and then high 80s. And then that's a great spot to allocate if you're not. And then from then on, if we do finally break out, whether we run directly to like an XRP like move and run up towards the highs at 370, or we run the 786, I think that'll, to me, I think it's more likely when we break that we break up and then kind of not really, we retest this trend line. And then maybe kind of similar to, not drawn out like this, you know, this is into 2027 now or whatever, but it would hopefully be more like XRP where it was fast, kind of move up fast and consolidate quick and then go.
It's it'll be way easier for long-term holders if we get one of those vertical moves.
Yeah, imagine how nice it is. But I had a bunch of XRP that I got rid of, unfortunately. But imagine how nice it is just holding that and then not having any real pushback.
Yeah, no drawdown.
No, like little to no drawdown.
It's like holding.
Hopefully, we get something similar. But I'd say most likely the next move, you know, would be up to test the breakout of this channel. But it'd also be nice because it'd be, I mean, we got weekly close. We got one weekly close above it, then wicked hard. But it'd be nice to get multiple weekly closes above this to actually break out of that descending trend line and then go up to test this channel. Because breaking that, ultimately, yeah, I would bring up at least $200. And then, but it's hard. I don't know. Like looking at this, $90 roughly, and it just seems too good to be true. Like, it seems like almost too good of a setup. But my original, like my first entry on CRV was basically too good to be true. Let me do this.
How did you hear about CRV? I wonder how, like, I don't know how that.
Oh, it was from Cred.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of I see a lot of people talking about it, but I think it did originate from him. Like everyone who is following.
Yeah, I think he was a bag holder, honestly,
Yeah.
from last cycle.
Yeah.
So I don't even know, because it's not looking the best to me. But
I just don't get what's so interesting about the chart. I'm not that focused on technical analysis all the time, but
it'd be more of like accumulation play, and like basically, in theory, when you're looking at different charts, it was basically for me when I bought it. Down here was at about 37. I bought pretty much right on this retest. Because I had the luxury of waiting for it, and had this nice breakout, whatever, and it's been kind of holding. But it's more so like technically. I mean, there's the fundamental part, which I don't really understand too. I think it's something with stable coins. But it's more like you're able to buy still near the lows. And if it actually does turn out to be something, the gains just to the previous highs are great, you know? So what is this, 30 cents? It's like a 20x if we just retrace to the current highs. 15x or whatever. That's why a lot of people like these kind of plays.
I see.
And then there's the whatever fundamental value they
Yeah, the DeFi space is interesting. There's so much competition there. That's why I always worry about these DeFi projects, and then again they're like mostly credit layer things that I know this is a tiny market cap asset, but it's like a lot of competition in a total addressable market that's not giant. But I haven't looked into it at all. I think most of the DeFi stuff today is more geared to just allowing people to get leverage to speculate on other chains or tokens. There's just not much productive lending at all in crypto. So the lending products, I would be extremely bullish on L2s and different types of decentralized credit once the money itself establishes like a base economy. But until then, I think it's mostly just going to pump and dump, and the risk of hacks because of new technology and blow-ups is really high. And I'm not smart enough on the technical side. It would take a long time. It would take so long to look at all of these projects and determine which one's best positioned fundamentally. But I get the technical stuff. It's easier just to look at a chart if you're a trader, rather than spend all day every day researching every.
Yeah, I don't care
project.
to do any of it. Honestly, I never cared to do any of that stuff. When I initially started, I was watching CNBC and stuff, and I had a buddy that would always, read over and mull over that kind of stuff, and I always thought it's just, I guess everyone's different.
Well,
yeah,
if
everyone's
you're in a
different.
market that isn't, that's what I was trying to say. It's like this is so sentiment driven and hype driven, and there's literally no DeFi stuff happening to me that's going to manifest into anything productive long term, because the credit that's being issued is just for further speculation and not like building real stuff where you could actually pay back those loans. So it ends up just being pyramids on top of pyramids, and that will always blow up. So yeah, it's a waste of time to look at fundamentals. This market has to to develop further. And that's why the money side of things is interesting to me. And then once that trade plays itself out, then sure, if it ever establishes itself as a dominant money or a much more used money, then the opportunity is going to be in building credit layers. Just like what happened with the traditional financial system, right? People that built these banks that succeeded, or financial institutions, ended up making a shit ton of money. I don't see how you can build an economy like that on a casino. It's we're so far away that it's not gonna play out. But yeah, it looks interesting. You think this is like a long-term accumulation structure?
Yeah, it's that or it's nothing, pretty much. Yeah. So for me, it's like,
why do you think it rallied so hard off the bottom here? Like that initial move and then retraced so hard.
I don't know. So I wasn't a part of that.
Yeah.
But the reason why I pulled this, you see it's pushing off the bottom of the pitchfork again. The reason why I pulled this up is because I was sidelined for that. And then when it retraced, I was actively looking. And I just basically said like, oh, if it retraces to this point, the descending trend line to kind of test, I'll buy there because the risk is low.
Mm-hmm.
So I bought there and I got that too good to be true position, the one that basically you can kind of see on Litecoin right now. So I can't use it as like, I can't look at this this level here at the median of this channel, and that lines up with the fib, and then be like, it's impossible, because it's certainly possible we do retrace that low. You can get that. But as of right now, it's still attempting to make it at least appear like a bear trap. There's still that fight today going into the weekly close to regain 109.
Yeah, this weekly candle closes in like an hour and a half.
An hour and a half? Well, better do it soon.
Maybe 30 minutes actually. I think it does close on this next hourly candle.
Yeah, well, it better go quick then, because it pretty much the weekly close, it's roughly 107. We can get it, or sorry, it's 109.50. Yeah, it's a big push. It basically would almost have to double the body of this. It's possible. I'd expect the attempt to, because there's probably a ball of liquidity right there, where they'd want to take it there. So let's see.
Yeah, we could look at the like heat maps to see if there are a lot of shorts to squeeze at that level, or if there's any sort of liquidity.
There was a minute where I almost kind of got into looking at heat maps, or got into what is it? It seems like a good indicator for that Credible uses is like funding rate. But again, it's something I never kind of got into. But I usually don't think I need it. That's why. Like shorter term stuff, I'm usually pretty good. It's funny because you were saying learn Ichimoku, and it's something I was looking at, and then in all honesty, it's like, here, let me pull it up. I was like up late last night going over this stuff. I was trying to figure out how to do all this without having noise, like add more stuff, because that's always been my worry.
Yeah, if you do try to add something, it's like your brain, you have no experience, so you haven't tested these things, and you probably get worse in the beginning if you add something new.
So I was trying to use Ichimoku basically for like timing and conditions to point out whether we're actually trending or ranging. And then I was thinking about adding Elliott wave to again for like more timing and conditions, kind of identify if the movement is impulsive or corrective. And then even adding, I don't really use it much, but maybe RSI or some momentum indicators to confirm whether it's actively like an overbought or oversold zone for confluence. And then maybe even adding ICT and order blocks to highlight choke points to get better for execution, because the execution side is usually what I'm pretty good at setting up, and that's channels, fibs, price action, trend lines, you know. That's basically like my core edge. So I'd still use that, but I'd probably just use the other ones just to identify conditions to see whether it's likely that my targets get met or I'm just sitting there in a sideways market, like exactly what we discussed the itchy guys are really good at.
Yeah. They've been crazy accurate, but they all I've known from following traders since like 2016 is that they all have like periods of hot streaks where it seems like they can't get anything wrong, and then
Yeah, I
they
think
miss
that's
a lot.
yeah, and that's the same thing with me, and I think that's because it's basically having like an uneven game, you know, like say it's like, sorry, my ear pod fell out of my ear. I was salmon fishing. Damn it. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. I was salmon fishing on Friday, and I always I've done it a lot since I was a kid, or I've gone fishing with my dad a lot. And I try to compare it, like in my mind, since I was like 18 or whatever, to the markets. And like, for example, with the salmon fishing, it's like you can be good at one strategy, or say my dad fishing for striped bass at the lakes out here. He's really good at one strategy, but it's not like he has a complete game. You know, there's a lot more. There's like, say with salmon fishing, like the Ichimoku would basically be showing like whether the river is flowing fast, like the trend, or say like the salmon are resting in pools, like a range. And then like a Elliott wave would be similar. RSI momentum would be like whether the fish are active or resting, and then these different things. Like what I'm good at technically is knowing where to cast, but not knowing when to cast. You know, so I'm trying to do that. So like for me, like what you said, as far as these guys going through hot streaks and then kind of beginning to fumble the ball, that's what I do a lot, and that's when I actively usually make it a point to kind of go around and see who is correct during those times. And this whole bull run has been the Ichimoku guys, because they have that idea of when the market is going to range, or at least not always, but a fairly good idea when the market's going to range. So I think a lot of these guys, like including me, that just are lacking more of a complete game.
That makes sense. I also think there's just limits to technical analysis. I think there's only so much it can tell you, and regardless of how complete, you could be a master TA person and do really well, but I think you'd still underperform the macro traders that have deep understanding of what's driving markets, or somebody that just has inside information about a specific asset. Like I think complete game to me would be mastering technical analysis, mastering your understanding of exactly what you're trading, like fundamentally how it works, and then the macro side too, like understanding the complete picture of the world that these assets are operating in.
Yeah, it doesn't, honestly, I don't think anyone, because you could look at a guy who's really wealthy from trading or from investing, and it doesn't necessarily mean that they're good at anything.
No, for sure.
Or they could just mean they could have gotten lucky. For example, like when the government shut everything down in 2020, we had that like flash crash. Just I recognized it, but I didn't have the balls to do anything during that time. I think that's a
Same.
lot of people,
Yeah.
you know. But there's a decent amount of people who just took on huge positions then and absolutely murdered it. So
Yep.
doesn't mean, I mean, you can just recognize. I guess it's basically just finding an edge. That's all it really is,
Yeah.
and defining what your edge is and what the timeline is of that. Because it was like similar, like I knew Amazon was always going to do really well. That was something that me and the guy who got me into trading talked about, you know, almost 20 years ago, or the 18, I don't know, whatever years ago. There's certain things that's just that the market doesn't see that you can personally see, because I used to be a seller on Amazon. So there's all sorts of ways, but
Yeah.
it's just, I guess
The
it depends.
Dudes that impress me are the like hedge fund guys that consistently beat the market. I always liked David Tepper. I think he did really well.
I haven't heard of him.
And then George Soros, like consistently.
Yeah, you know who
outperformed.
impresses me that consistently outperforms is Nancy Pelosi.
Oh yeah, well she's like an insider. That's what I was saying. Like if you have inside knowledge and you're trading based on limited information that you only have access to,
That's the easiest route, you know?
yeah, then you don't need to know anything.
Right.
And that's what a lot of the crypto stuff is too. I mean, it's like coordinated efforts to pump and dump stuff with mass marketing campaigns. With guys with a lot of money that understand market psychology, that know how to, you know, just the amount of price action they need to drive mass attention or get to people to believe their story. It doesn't always work. They take risk, but I definitely think that's the game a lot of these people have been playing. I mean, it was obvious to me, like 2021 NFTs. I think there's a lot of this like wash trading and using a super illiquid market to generate hype. It's always been that way. ICOs were the same way, and then meme coins. Like there's nothing special about any particular meme. It only seemed like that because price went up.
Yeah, I always thought the NFTs were really stupid.
Yeah.
I never could understand that. And meme coins are a little bit more along the same lines of how they gain value.
Yeah.
But again, it's not something I've traded a little bit of meme coins, but hardly.
Yeah, I always saw it as a losing game. There's somebody with either a lot of money or like, I know it's it's like impossible to win. The only thing that would make sense is like investing in the business side or exchange side, like Pump.Fund. That if someone pitched me that or something, you know, your odds of success by building the casino are way better.
I agree.
But yeah, I don't know. Investing, predicting the future is nearly impossible. But I still think there are certain things that are.
That's one of those things where I'll always believe that it's impossible to always be right, but it's possible to be right a godly amount of, like a godly percentage of the time. So it's something that I always will continue to strive to be better at, you know.
For sure.
But it looks like pulling up the EMAs that we're trying to hold to 20 on the weekly. Maybe that's enough. I don't know. As far as it blasting up now to close, if we only have a half an hour to go up to 107.50 or whatever, maybe not happen, but maybe it's not completely horrible.
It's interesting because the weekly EMAs, finally all the shorter term EMAs crossed that 200 week, or the 100 week crossed the 200 week. It's been a long time since
that happened. It's been super compressed, and finally.
And we're above all of those.
I did a post a while back about that, about basically like it being the first, I don't know, I was staring at the chart for a while. It's the first time the the 100 day past the 200 day, but it was also like the only time that all the other EMAs were above while it did it.
Yeah.
It's just been kind of sideways. Hasn't done much since then. But okay. But all right, I gotta get going.
Okay.
But yeah, basically, what I was saying is hopefully we hold here, and hopefully it's a bear trap. If not, then 90. It's kind of similar to what I've been saying.
Gotcha.
But I guess this week, the big thing to watch is the ETF.
Yeah, we'll see how the market reacts there. But appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me on. Hopefully, we get some positive price action this week. We
Yeah.
get out of this mess.
Yeah. Moon.
All right, man.
Soon. All right. Have a good night. I'll see you later.
All right, you too. Bye.
Bye. Alright guys, that was cool. Nick's short-term TA has been way better than mine. Yeah, I have friends, like a guy in Puerto Rico that like makes a ton of money trading. But it's not. In order to really outcompete 99.9% of people, one, you have to have the cognitive capability of doing that. Like, you need to be elite in terms of brain power. So if you're like a top 1% student or something, and then you have to be interested in it. You work extremely hard. Stare at charts 10 hours a day. Not just stare, but actually focus. And I think the time investment into trading still won't pay as much as the time investment into long-term fundamental understanding. I think, again, the total addressable market for something like Litecoin is equal to Bitcoin if demand for Bitcoin is high enough. And I think because of the macro situation we're in, permissionless money will become more important. And given the network effects Litecoin has over everything else in the sector it competes against, the odds of furthering that lead are extremely high. I think there's almost zero chance that another proof of work chain grows faster than Litecoin does on the monetary side. What's interesting to me too is how money develops and what we're seeing on the monetary side for Litecoin. It's been like this for a while, but just like Bitcoin early on, it's this medium of exchange first, right? It does something different that no other money does. That's why it can compete and go from zero to something, because it's unique. So Bitcoin, you could buy stuff that you couldn't buy with dollars. You could gamble online when you couldn't with dollars. You need that. And then at some point, people realize, like, okay, I'm trading my dollars for Bitcoin to go buy this stuff with Bitcoin. Might as well just keep a small balance in Bitcoin if I'm gonna use it anyways. That's originally what drove Bitcoin. And the casino developed really in like 2017. Binance was launched mid-2017. And that's just grown. But Litecoin's doing the same thing. It's like it had no real reason to exist until Bitcoin became too expensive. And I see it by talking to people that actually use Litecoin. They're like, well, my friend told me just, you know, save in Bitcoin and then spend Litecoin. But it's like, at what point does it become annoying to convert from Bitcoin to Litecoin? If you're just going to use Litecoin anyway, you might as well just keep a balance of it. And that's what naturally happens as a medium of exchange turns into more of a store of value. Like, people start getting paid out in Litecoin instead of just holding Bitcoin and transacting in Litecoin. And once it reaches like a certain psychological point, as this process continues, velocity will decline a lot, right? And it will be hoarded, just like Bitcoin started being hoarded, because people realized, you know, that, oh, maybe this thing can go up. So at extremely high velocity, and then velocity went down, and people just started hoarding Bitcoin and buying it. What's unique about Litecoin is it's playing out the same way, but I think it's ahead relative to its current market cap in transactional adoption. And if Bitcoin goes back to high velocity, which it can on narrative change, right? It's held up by belief and super low velocity, like hardly anyone's moving coins. But if we have congestion, the narrative can flip overnight, and Litecoin can take on an order of magnitude more transactional demand. So it gets this dramatic drop in velocity while speculative demand and fundamental transactional demand go vertical. That's the unique setup. The chart wouldn't tell you that, because, you know, the market wouldn't be able to see this. But I think if Bitcoin gets this parabolic final leg to the cycle that people like credible, who have been decently accurate, are talking about, I think the odds of high fees are extremely high, above all-time highs. The migration to Litecoin being higher than it's ever been is extremely high. And price breaking all-time highs, moving into price discovery will force that narrative change, and that setup just has no historical precedent. There's literally never been a time in history with... Where's that chart that he posted? If this happens, I think Masters price targets actually transpire. I mean, Bitcoin's maintained the dominant narrative in the space for so long. If this does happen, they're already complaining about ordinals and spam transactions, but if Litecoin passes Bitcoin here on the fundamental side, with price surging above all-time highs and people trying to figure out what the fuck it is, it'll go from like, this is a useless copy chain, to holy shit, what the fuck is Bitcoin even? I thought it was something else. It's the rate of change. It's the divergence between sentiment and the reality of both how Bitcoin and Litecoin work, and the rate at which that can you know, converge with the actual reality and get a total change in psychology around how to value Bitcoin. Because right now everyone's just looking at inflation and saying government's gonna print money so Bitcoin goes up. It's fucking stupid. That is the dumbest, most retarded logic. Even though it's worked, it just totally ignores the asset. Like, you could put a meme coin up against inflation and make the same assumptions. But they're like, no, it's different, it's Bitcoin. But yeah, not really. It takes way more money as price moves higher to pump it. And yeah, Litecoin moving on such a severe narrative change would suck liquidity out of Bitcoin and a lot of other alts. So let's do that, guys. If this happens, it will be probably one of the most historic. It depends on how extreme it is, but one of the most historic narrative shifts ever. What's up, Philip? It's Bitcoin with more people paying attention earlier in its evolution. Fees that don't suck. Yeah, I mean, it literally is the same thing. There's less people paying attention, right? It was easier for Bitcoin early on because price just didn't go through 8 years of consolidation ever. So belief was able to be maintained. Litecoin's move, in my opinion, will look more like this. More like this is 4 to 1,000, Litecoin $50 to 10,000 be equivalent. I think eventually, in hindsight, it will be people will see it that way, and like hindsight always reveals the truth. I know for sure that's what's going to happen. Like price cannot remain, you know, bubbles don't last forever. They can last a long time, but definitely not forever. It will eventually return to the underlying demand level of the money. It has to. You can't perpetually grow a bubble. And you can tell it's a bubble by all the language people are using to describe Bitcoin. I don't even know what they're describing anymore. They're saying digital energy and, you know, it's something way more complex than it actually is. What's up, Kindy? You think we're going to pump this week into the ETF announcement? I think it's possible. I'm kind of leaning towards the idea here on weight basis that this is a nested 1-2-1-2, and it's whenever this impulsive move starts, it will be the impulsive breakout that people forgot could even happen. I think if that idea is correct, the move's going to be stronger than XRP's. Just rallying to the all-time high of Litecoin is where the XRP rally started. And it was on hype alone, so yeah, I know a lot of Nick's been right and thinks that's not worth betting on, but I don't know. All I see is volatility compression, a chart structure similar to the 100x moves we've had in crypto prior. Potential. Yeah. The length of consolidation is so long. I wish we had long-term holder data, but I'd assume it's still going up. So a long period of accumulation. It's low market cap, $8-9 billion. And given how long it's gone sideways, most of that is locked up now in stronger hands. At the margins, it doesn't take much money to move it. I think it's far less liquid because it's gone sideways for so long. And if you can look over the narratives that exist today and what will eventually be realized, yeah, should be pretty crazy to see. Yeah, you think instead of the public preceding the ETF? Well, that's kind of what's happening, right? There's no hype around this. There's not much. There could be some front running, but you know, just based on sentiment online and what you see posted, so many people were talking about the Bitcoin ETF prior, and so there's this huge expectation by most of the market that it would pump the price. You don't see that right now. So yeah, I do think ETF flows could actually start this rally because the market's, I don't know, it's lumped in with a bunch of all their altcoin ETFs. I think the demographics that are more likely to buy the ETF or crypto ETFs at all are more likely to buy Litecoin than over some of these others. I think Litecoin's gonna be like the boomer altcoin, but funnily enough, it actually, even though they won't understand it, they might buy it for the wrong reasons. It's long term should be right. It's like people that bought Bitcoin early on because they thought it was like Star Trek money. They're like, oh, I saw digital money in Star Trek. Sounds like it might be something for the future, and they just got lucky and price mooned. That's what I'd imagine most people buying Litecoin here are doing. They're like, oh, strong network activity. You know, it looks undervalued today. I don't think they see the long-term future of where... Nobody really does, but I'm pretty confident in my longer-term view that people will arbitrage security for cost between Bitcoin chains, and that Bitcoin will not be looked at as BTC, but like BTC 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the networks converge in network activity and market cap as that arbitrage happens. And that will only be enabled to me once decentralized exchanges are popular and once more merchants can be onboarded in a privacy focused way. Through a decentralized exchange or decentralized merchant processing tool. But yeah. Boomer altcoin. Yeah, it's Grandpa's altcoin. It's gonna be funny because this is ironic. Litecoin is the second Bitcoin chain, but a lot of the people in crypto make fun of it, and then a bunch of old boomers might buy it when the ETF is launched and actually outperform all the Zoomers in these crazy complex DeFi casino smart contract platforms. But yeah, the demographics for Litecoin are a little bit older. If you look at most of the influencers, they're like around Charlie Lee's age. A lot of them. There's hardly any young people except Luke, right? But those demographics have way more money. Than the younger crowd. That's partially why Bitcoin is so much higher. They convinced the wealthy elite billionaire class to buy it and promote it. I'm gonna have to go here pretty soon, guys. I didn't really read the comments. Let's scroll back. In hindsight, Bitcoin's entire run-up may be seen. Oh, I wrote that. Maybe I am caught up. Litecoin's future is bright. Yeah, it is pretty bright. It's been downplayed in the language that's emerged culturally around Bitcoin and Litecoin is so crazy because people think they're two totally different things. That one is like does something entirely different. That one is somehow more secure or more decentralized or more unique. But all those things aren't true. I mean, Bitcoin started off with, you know, like 1 or 2, 3 people running it. Zero security, a few nodes, and over time it grew. But it's just funny. It's like people will ask, what is Litecoin if price starts pumping? Even though they've probably had exposure to Bitcoin for years, but they never really understood what Bitcoin was. They just bought it out of price momentum and marketing geared at them. Well, it literally is Bitcoin all over again. That's one of the dominant narratives I see on crypto Twitter is like, oh, Bitcoin was a once in a generation thing. It can't ever be copied. There's no way. But it's literally the exact opposite. It's open source. Anyone can copy it. What's unique about Bitcoin isn't like that it was launched on this very specific date. The unique thing about Bitcoin was early network effects, right? It was actually early adoption, and it worked. It was the first decentralized money that actually could achieve consensus in this unique way that wasn't political, right? By just trusting the longest history or longest chain. It wasn't it was never like closed source software. There's nothing unique about Bitcoin that can't be just copy and pasted. And Bitcoin's losing what made it unique in the beginning, which is the lead it had in network effects. And it was always designed to work this way. But it's so hard to get anyone to accept Litecoin when Bitcoin has 100 times more users. But that substitution trade-off has minimized so much. So whatever unique first mover advantage Bitcoin had, if it actually succeeded, it was never going to maintain. Because it doesn't scale. So this was always, it didn't have to be Litecoin, but it always nearly guaranteed, because it's open source, could just be copied and launched again, that someone else would do it. And over time, the same thing that happened with Bitcoin would happen again. with the second Bitcoin chain. And that's what the market should realize. It's just that narrative shouldn't exist until Litecoin's way higher. And then people will do these relative valuation comparisons, maybe based on network activity. And then you'll get, you know, a ton of speculative interest, probably people who are all in Bitcoin, slowly diversifying. But there's so much money out there in Bitcoin, and if you can make a convincing argument to them, especially in a mania, they'll all rotate at the same time, and price is determined by the marginal buyer-seller. So yeah, literally it can go vertical. But we'll see what happens. Elon repost one of your friends? That's cool, Andrew. What do you guys think is going to happen with these gold silver markets? I know a lot of people, a lot of the crypto people are kind of pro gold and silver. I have no problem with market competition and monies. I've just never understood how I would use this. I mean, maybe I'd keep like some silver coins or gold bars in my apartment or something to go buy stuff with. But in a digital world, it's hard to imagine, for me, how metals become super dominant again. Yeah, please like and subscribe. We're gonna be live a lot longer here once we get a breakout, probably all day. And I'll start back up the 24/7 stream, as well as the IRL stuff. We'll have Aztec on here on Thursday, which probably is a good day because by then the ETF should be approved if it's not done before the 2nd. Maybe it comes Monday or Tuesday, I don't know, but at least it should be done by then. Aztec's a nice dude. He's a cool guy. He's smart, good at marketing. He was bullish-matic last cycle before it rallied, literally 100x. And him and some of his team friends saw potential in Litecoin. So it would be pretty crazy for him to nail back-to-back, you know, altcoin cycle winners. But I obviously think he's going to do that. Should be crazy. We'll have him Thursday. If you have any questions you want me to ask him, you can send them to me on X. And then we'll talk with the Lit VM people the following Tuesday. So like a week from, 9 days from now. A week from this Tuesday. And I've got a bunch of the Litecoin themed stuff ready to release. It all comes before Litecoin's birthday, which is the 13th. Wait, is that a Friday? No. Litecoin's birthday is Monday, October 13th. Well, we got a lot of Litecoin themed stuff coming. I'll share it all on X. So that'll be cool. hopefully we get a price breakout, because my Litecoin themed stuff is mostly Halloween themed as well. All roads lead to Litecoin. Yeah, to me, I wish the name was more clear. People think it implies something different. My mental model since really like 2017 was that it was a substitute or second Bitcoin, like Bitcoin 2. I feel like if the public knew that it was the second dominant Bitcoin chain in network effects, they'd buy it. Like that's why Bitcoin named, like the fork BCH named itself Bitcoin Cash. So it was trying to be what Litecoin actually is, right? The second most adopted Bitcoin chain with slightly higher throughput and lower fees. Yeah, Aztec is the real one, Eric. So make sure to show up for that. That'll be cool. What else? I don't know what else I'm gonna be doing. I'm gonna try to have some more technical analysts and traders on here. We just need a high time frame breakout, and then the attention will allow us to get access to different guests. Maybe Ben Cowan can come talk Litecoin at all-time highs. I noticed my channel like never shows up. Well, I guess it's showing up right now, but like a lot of my videos that have more views than these don't pop up when I search for Litecoin. Litecoin days might be numbered. Let's listen to this. Why is it muted?
It's a derivative of Bitcoin. The founder dumped the majority of his tokens. It's normally the first mover in bull markets. I'll say that. That's been its tendency, is that Litecoin jumps first. And then...
What the hell?
Hi, Rambo 20.
Is my mic still working? I literally can't hear anything. Oh, it's probably because my sound got turned to the wrong thing.
Can you talk about Litecoin and its future in the financial industry? I think there is one ETF on Litecoin that's been proposed. It has no function, no utility.
That's hilarious.
Can you talk about Litecoin and its future? I'll say that. That's been its tendency, is that Litecoin jumps first and then Ethereum Classic. Both those tend to go around the same time if there is a 4-year cycle. The founder dumped the majority of his tokens. Litecoin stuck around longer than I thought it would, to be honest with you. It's not anything that I think will be relevant 5 years from now. No crystal ball. I could be wrong. My personal opinion.
That's hilarious. Who are these people? Let's go back. That was it. That was that was the end of the short. It has no utility, but it's literally the only proof of work chain. Maybe he's in proof of stake stuff. Like there's it's funny to me that that narrative exists when the actual like opposite is true. Like out of the whole proof of work side of the market, it's the only thing that really grew over the last 3 years. But people, I know, like the narratives exist because of price. Inaction, right? Like just not much happening. Yeah, everything's upside down in this whole world, really. Yeah, well now Charlie Lee actually has indirect exposure to Litecoin and probably a ton. Right, if you're on the board of Treasury companies and you own part of the shares, he seeded the ETF, right? Maybe he owns that underlying Litecoin. So he has a lot of, he actually has price exposure now. I think Charlie's main focus has been talking to Treasury companies. I mean, he's doing a lot. He seeded the ETF for Canary. They needed money. He's the only one that would actually had the money to do it. Yeah, it should be a positive. Charlie Lee was on this stream, MK. Hopefully he comes back here. If this is the center, we gotta make this the cultural center, and you know, once momentum starts, like there's not really, you can explain the fundamental outlook, sure, but it's more fun just to meme and throw a party. That's what gets the crowd going. Everyone can chant along. And hopefully Charlie can be a part of it. Well, it's pretty selfless that he spent the last 8 years working on it and volunteering his time and money. He donated money. Didn't have to do that. He's like the only founder in this space that worked for free. Everyone else is just always on TV or, you know, trying to get attention to pump their coins. Charlie's just playing the long game. Harley Lee? Is that Charlie? And he only put forgot the C in his name. Maybe Charlie's always watching. It's obvious. You gotta play the Litecoin songs for Charlie. Alright guys, I have to go actually. I could leave the stream on, but I think I'm gonna wait to start the 24/7 thing until we get a high time frame breakout. Okay, that's not something Charlie would say, I don't think. Alright guys, have a good Sunday night. I don't even know what day it is anymore. We'll see. 31. We had 31 for a second. Lucky number 31. Alright guys, I'll be back tomorrow. Thanks for coming. Thanks for liking the stream. Moon Day. Let's go. Let's see. Peace out, friends. Have a good night.